There is a kind of stress that crushes people, and then there is a kind of stress that creates legends. A kind of stress that forces you to rise, to face the truth, to grow, to change, to stop lying to yourself about what you really want. It's the stress that wakes you up at night because you know you're capable of more. It's the stress that tightens your chest when you realize you've been holding back. It's the stress that reminds you that your life is moving with or without your permission. And it's the stress that whispers, quietly but firmly, that if you don't act now, you may never discover who you could have been. This is not the stress that destroys you. This is the stress that demands your evolution. People often run from discomfort, from pressure, from the feeling of being stretched beyond their limits. They call it stress. But what it really is a signal, your internal alarm system telling you that you are standing at the threshold between who you are and who you are meant to become. That tension inside you, that restlessness, that frustration, that urgency, it isn't there to harm you. It's there to provoke you into movement. It's there to push you out of stagnation. It's there to light a fire under the parts of your life you've allowed to become dull, predictable, uninspired. Because the truth is, without stress, nothing changes. Without stress, muscles don't grow, minds don't sharpen, lives don't shift. Pressure is not the enemy. Pressure is information. It tells you where the weight is. It tells you where the opportunity is. It tells you where the gap between your current self and your potential self still lies. And the stress you feel right now, whatever form it takes, is not a punishment. It's a message. Maybe it's the stress of feeling behind. Maybe it's the stress of wanting more and not knowing how to get there. Maybe it's the stress of time slipping through your fingers. Maybe it's the stress of knowing you're not living up to your own standards. Maybe it's the stress of routines that have grown stale or dreams that have grown quiet or responsibilities that feel heavier than you expected. Whatever it is, you must stop interpreting it as a threat. It is fuel. It is power. It is the energy that, if harnessed, can turn you into someone unstoppable. But most people drown under this pressure not because the stress is too big, but because their mindset is too small. They see stress as a sign of weakness instead of a call to strength. They see it as a reason to retreat instead of a reason to advance. They feel discomfort and immediately assume something is wrong, not realizing that discomfort is the birthplace of every breakthrough they admire. Think about the moments in your life where you grew the most. Were they easy? Were they peaceful? Were they effortless? Of course not. Growth demands friction. Transformation demands tension. Progress demands discomfort, and deep down you know this. You know that the version of you want to become does not exist inside the comfort zone you're familiar with. That version of you requires pressure. It requires effort. It requires stepping into the unknown and confronting the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. The stress that sparks action is the stress that forces you to stop being passive in your own life. It forces you to stop waiting for the perfect moment, for the ideal circumstances, for a sign from the universe. It forces you to recognize that time is not an infinite resource. And if you want a life that excites you, fulfills you, challenges you, and stretches you, then you have to create it. You have to make the call. You have to send the email. You have to start the project. You have to change the habit. You have to show up differently. You have to fight for the person you know you can be. Stress is not the problem. Inaction is. Because the longer you wait, the heavier the stress becomes. The longer you stall, the more suffocating the pressure feels. The longer you avoid making the changes you know you need to make, the more painful the consequences grow. Stress intensifies when movement stops. Stress expands when you refuse to adapt. Stress becomes unbearable when you choose to stay where you are, even though everything inside you is telling you it's time to move. The solution is not to eliminate stress. The solution is to respond to it. Most people wish for peace, but what they really need is progress. Peace without progress becomes stagnation. Comfort without challenge becomes decay. Stillness without purpose becomes a slow, quiet death of ambition. What you are truly seeking is not a life without stress, but a life where stress is directed, channeled into something meaningful, something constructive, something that moves you forward rather than holds you down. You have to rewire your relationship with pressure. You have to stop seeing it as a sign you're failing and start seeing it as a sign you're ready. You have to understand that the stress you feel is a direct reflection of the size of your goals, the size of your responsibilities, the size of your dreams. People with small goals experience small stress. People with big visions feel big pressure. That's how you know you're not thinking small. That's how you know you're not settling. That's how you know you're aiming for something worth your time. So instead of saying, "Why is this happening to me?" you should be saying, "What is this pushing me to become?" Instead of saying, "I'm overwhelmed." Try saying, "I'm being stretched." Instead of saying, "I can't handle this," try saying, "This is the moment I build the strength to handle anything." Because the truth is, you can handle more than you think. You've survived storms that once terrified you. You've navigated situations you never thought you could get through. You've solved problems that felt impossible at the time. You've carried burdens that would break another person. You've proven again and again that you are stronger, smarter, more adaptable, and more capable than you give yourself credit for. And right now, this stress you're feeling is not bigger than you. It's just unfamiliar. It's just uncomfortable. It's just new. But that's exactly why it matters, because nothing changes until something challenges you. This stress wants to transform you. It wants to wake you up. It wants to shake you out of your old patterns. It wants to force you into decisions that elevate your life. It wants you to take yourself seriously. It wants you to stop procrastinating on your potential. It wants you to stop playing small, stop hiding your gifts, stop letting fear make your choices for you. Stress is the alarm clock of destiny, and the longer you try to silence it, the louder it gets. People say they're stressed, but when you ask them what actions they're taking, the answer is usually nothing. They're stressed about their health, but they're not changing their habits. They're stressed about their finances, but they're not pursuing new opportunities. They're stressed about their relationships, but they keep repeating the same patterns. They're stressed about their future, but they're not investing time into learning, building, or evolving. Stress without action is suffering. Stress with action is transformation. You get to choose which one you experience. Imagine for a moment that the stress you feel is not a curse, but a compass. It's pointing you toward the areas of your life that need your attention. It's highlighting the places where change is overdue. It's lighting up the path you've been too afraid to walk. The stress is not telling you to panic. It's telling you to prepare. It's not telling you to collapse. It's telling you to commit. It's not telling you to quit. It's telling you to rise. If you're stressed about your health, that is your call to discipline. If you're stressed about your finances, that is your call to strategy. If you're stressed about your purpose, that is your call to exploration. If you're stressed about your future, that is your call to action. Stress is not a stop sign. Stress is an ignition switch. You have to stop waiting for the perfect moment. The perfect moment will not come. There is no ideal time to start changing your life. There is only now. People say, "I'll begin when things calm down," not understanding that things calm down when you begin. Action creates clarity. Action organizes chaos. Action reduces fear. Action turns stress from something that freezes you into something that drives you. Every choice you've been avoiding is adding weight to your life. Every step you delay is creating more pressure. And every dream you hesitate to pursue is generating more stress than the pursuit ever would. The action is the relief. The movement is the medicine. The progress is the cure. No one transforms without being pushed. No one grows at their highest potential without being challenged. No one becomes extraordinary by feeling comfortable. Stress is not your enemy, it is your guide into greatness. It is the proof that you are alive, that you care, that you are striving for something more than the average person. Stress is the discomfort of ambition. But action, that's where the magic happens. That's where you convert pressure into power. That's where you turn anxiety into energy. That's where you transform fear into focus. And the moment you start acting, even in small ways, the stress begins to shift. It becomes momentum. It becomes clarity. It becomes fuel. Suddenly, you're not drowning under the weight. You're rising because of it. You are far stronger than the stress you feel. You are far more capable than the pressure you're under. And deep down, you know this. You know that the stress is not here to break you. It's here to break open the parts of you that have been waiting for the chance to emerge. All you have to do is say yes. Yes to movement. Yes to growth. Yes to action. Yes to becoming the person you were meant to be. This stress is not your enemy. It is your spark. The stress that sits in your chest right now is the push that life gives only to those it knows can rise. If you were incapable, if you were helpless, if you were meant to stay exactly where you are, you wouldn't feel this tension. You wouldn't feel this urgency. You wouldn't feel this inner fire demanding more from you. Stress does not visit the indifferent. It visits the rising. It visits the ones who have potential they haven't fully activated. It visits the ones who are standing on the edge of their next level. And if you listen closely, beneath all the noise and pressure, you'll hear a message: it's time. It's time to stop negotiating with your excuses. It's time to stop giving your fears more power than your future. It's time to stop letting hesitation drain the possibilities out of your life. There is a version of you waiting on the other side of action. A stronger version, a sharper version, a more disciplined, more courageous, more relentless version. But you will never meet that version of yourself if you keep retreating every time stress shows up. You must learn to stop running from stress and start running because of it. Right now, the stress you feel may seem overwhelming, but overwhelm is not a sign that you're incapable. Overwhelm is simply the cost of growth. Everyone who has ever done anything meaningful, anything extraordinary, anything that changed their life or the world around them, they all felt overwhelmed before they were ready. But they moved anyway. They acted anyway. They stepped into the unknown anyway. And because they acted, the stress that once felt impossible soon transformed into opportunity. You are no different. You have that same capacity for courage. You have that same ability to push through fear. You have that same inner strength to take the steps that scare you. You have that same potential to use stress as your catalyst instead of your cage. Stress becomes your cage only when you sit still inside it. When you let worry replace work. When you let fear replace effort. When you let the pressure paralyze you instead of push you. There is no weight heavier than the weight of things you are capable of doing but choose not to do. That weight grows daily. It clings to you. It follows you. It drains your energy. It steals your peace. Not because the tasks are impossible, but because they are avoided. Imagine the life you want. Truly imagine it. Imagine the strength, the confidence, the stability, the freedom, the success, the security, the purpose, the pride you want to feel in your life. Now ask yourself, do you think that life comes without stress? Do you think that life is built in comfort? Do you think that life emerges from ease? Of course not. Every version of the future you desire requires a version of you that does not yet exist. And stress is the force that molds you into that person. Stress is the sculptor. You are the stone. And action is the chisel. Without the strikes, without the pressure, nothing changes shape. You cannot become smooth without friction. You cannot become strong without strain. You cannot become extraordinary without struggle. So the question is not how to avoid stress. The question is how to use it. When you feel stress rising, instead of thinking, I can't handle this, say, this is my cue. When you feel pressure, instead of shutting down, stand up. When you feel the tension building in your life, don't hide, lean into it. Let it show you where the action must happen. Let it highlight the doorways to your next stage. Let it become the reason you change, the reason you begin, the reason you rise. Think of every great transformation you've ever witnessed. Someone who got in shape. Someone who turned their finances around. Someone who built a business. Someone who healed from pain. Someone who reinvented themselves. Someone who broke cycles, broke patterns, broke limitations. What did every one of those people have in common? A moment of stress that sparked action. A moment where the discomfort of staying the same became more painful than the discomfort of changing. You may be at that moment right now. You may feel stretched thin, worn down, overwhelmed. But what if that feeling is not a warning, but a threshold? What if the pressure you feel is the sign that you are finally ready to level up? What if all this stress is simply the final friction before the breakthrough? You are not being buried. You are being planted. The stress is not meant to suffocate you. It is meant to strengthen your roots so that you can rise higher than ever before. But you must take the step. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel like it. Now, movement is the antidote to stress. The moment you take one step, even a small one, the weight begins to shift. You start to breathe again. You start to feel capable again. You start to feel the power return to your life, because action is how you reclaim control. Action is how you tell stress, I hear you, and I'm responding. Stress wants to be acknowledged with movement, not avoidance. You don't need to take huge leaps. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is take one small step. Clean your room, open your laptop, make the call, do the workout, write the first sentence, plan your schedule, learn something new, change one habit. Start with what you can control. Start with what is right in front of you. Start with what scares you the least. Because once you start moving, even in small steps, momentum begins to form. And momentum is the force that turns stress into success. Momentum is more powerful than motivation. It carries you when you're tired. It lifts you when you're discouraged. It becomes the rhythm of progress. You do not need to have the entire plan. You just need to break the stillness. Action is the beginning. Clarity comes after. Every step forward reveals the next one. People wait for clarity before acting, not realizing that clarity is created by acting. The universe does not reward hesitation. It rewards movement. You are capable of so much more than you've allowed yourself to believe. The stress you feel is not evidence that you're weak. It's evidence that you're alive. It's evidence that you care. It's evidence that you're on the edge of something meaningful. There is something inside you, an untapped strength, an unused skill, a dormant fire that is trying to wake up. And stress is the alarm. This pressure is your invitation to rise. This discomfort is your invitation to evolve. This urgency is your invitation to transform. You cannot walk into your next chapter with the same habits that kept you stagnant. You cannot step into your potential carrying the weight of procrastination. You cannot rise into your future by clinging to the comfort of your past. Stress is here to tell you that something must change, and that something is you. Do not wait for confidence. Do not wait for the perfect moment. Do not wait for fear to disappear. The action will create the confidence. The action will create the moment. The action will diminish the fear. You have dreams that require your commitment, not your comfort. You have goals that require your courage, not your caution. You have gifts that require your discipline, not your delay. Stress is the pressure that demands you rise to the level of your potential. There is a version of you who does not procrastinate, a version of you who does not complain, a version of you who does not quit, a version of you who does not fold when life gets difficult, a version of you who acts, a version of you who decides, a version of you who takes control, a version of you who makes things happen. And that version of you is not far away. It is not a distant fantasy. It is one decision away, one action away, one moment of courage away. You must stop believing the lie that stress means something is wrong. Stress is a sign that something is moving. Something is shifting. Something is calling. Your life is not meant to be lived on autopilot. You are not meant to coast through your days numbed by routine. You are meant to feel alive. And sometimes the first sign of life is a little pressure. Pressure to do more. Pressure to be better. Pressure to step up. Pressure to stop wasting time. Pressure to build something real. Pressure to take yourself seriously. Pressure to finally commit to the life that's been waiting for you. This pressure does not exist to break you. It exists to build you. And the moment you stop fearing stress and start using it, everything changes. Suddenly the weight becomes a workout. The pressure becomes a plan. The struggle becomes a strategy. And your life begins to accelerate in ways that once felt impossible. You will look back one day and realize that the season of life you thought was breaking you was actually building you. That the stress you once resented was the spark you needed. That the discomfort you hated was the catalyst for your transformation. That the pressure you feared was the very thing that pushed you into your power. Your life is not waiting for a perfect version of you to arrive. It is waiting for the brave version of you to act. And that version of you is already here. You just have to let them lead. So stand up, breathe deeply. Look at your stress and say, I hear you, and I'm ready. Then take the step, any step. Because once you start moving, the stress will shift from a weight to a wind behind your back. This is your moment. This is your spark. This is your turning point. Use the stress. Channel the pressure. Let the tension transform you. Because you are stronger than the weight you carry. You are braver than the fear you feel. You are more capable than the doubt in your mind. And you are absolutely ready for the action that will change your life forever.